It was first broadcast in 1979 and has become one of the BBC's most popular TV shows. Today, the Antiques Roadshow visited Gregynog Hall in Powys. On hand were some of Britain's leading antique specialists, casting their trained eyes on thousands of family treasures. Carolyn Jones went behind the scenes to see how the programme is made.
When it comes to filming locations, you could do far worse than the 19th century splendour of Gregynog Hall. The Welsh weather proved a little less accommodating. But that didn't stop thousands of visitors turning up with their cherished artefacts and novelty curios. This is the 36th series of Antiques Roadshow, and the programme is one of the largest public events staged by the BBC.
There is an extraordinarily efficient, well-oiled machine behind all this, which is the OB, or outside broadcast unit, that have an enormous articulated lorry that goes from venue to venue. There's miles of cabling for all the lights that we need and the electrical equipment, and that's all done. But by 9 o'clock this evening, it will all be gone. And we'll have moved on. It's a bit like the travelling circus.
But before then, there's the small matter of evaluating the countless antiques brought along by the public.
A portrait of a Georgian gentleman.
And what might that fetch you?
Well, many millions of pounds, I should imagine. Many millions. Or euros, we don't really care.
Gregynog Hall is an apt location for the show. The mansion was owned by the Davis sisters, the famous art collectors who bequeathed priceless works to the nation. The hall's director recently discovered a painting hidden away for generations in the mansion's safe and couldn't resist asking one of the experts for his opinion.
It could well be by Hugh Blaker, the man who introduced the Davis sisters to radical art on the continent. And as a result of his introduction, of course, they bought great works of art, and as a result, Wales has one of the great art collections of Europe.
Not to be outdone, I brought along an antique of my own, my cherished Festival of Britain tea caddy, dated 1951. Would it bring me fame and fortune?
Well, it's chrome-plated, in other words, the sort of thing that the average car bumper would have been coated with. So it shows a certain modern age look, and I think they would give you £50 to £80 for that any time of the day.
My tea caddy proved a slight letdown, but the experts here had plenty of other objects to whet their appetite. Eric Knowles, whose great-grandmother hailed from Welshpool, knows just what to expect from people in Powys.
And I'm always that little bit more excited when we end up, in a very sort of rural area, because you tend to find there are things that have been kept, from the 16th, 17th, 18th century, because people in this part of the world, they weren't big on throwing things away.
Nearly 2,000 people have turned up here today, armed with their household treasures and family heirlooms. The question is, were there any rare finds among them? Well, we'll have to wait until the show hits our TV screens later this year. Carolyn Jones, BBC Wales Today, Gregynog Hall.